They told me love was a choice, that it came wrapped in silk and diamonds. But no one told me love could arrive in silence, that it could live in a glance, a gesture, a trembling hand. I gave him my heart, but the world wanted me to take it back. And when I left, I thought I was saving him, but I was only breaking both of us. My name is Maya, and this is my love story. They called me privileged. Born into wealth, raised in mansions, I come from a place where the mountains kiss the sea, where Sunday lunches stretch for hours, and every dish tells a story. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, a city that knows how to break your heart and feed your soul in the same breath. My grandmother used to say, "In Lebanon, we don't just eat, we remember." I grew up on the scent of za'atar, on the warmth of tabbouleh, and the sweet comfort of kunafe melting between laughter and the real coffee. Even after moving to Mexico, my accent carried traces of Arabic, and my heart always hummed with the rhythm of Fairuz in the mornings. My Lebanese family moved to Mexico City when I was 10. I was taught that status mattered, that people like us don't mix with people who serve. But the heart doesn't know class. I met Armando in the gardens of our family's estate. He worked for the groundskeeping company. He wasn't loud. He didn't need to be. His presence spoke for him. Tall, with a build shaped by labor, not vanity. Broad shoulders that hinted at quiet strength. Arms marked with sun and work, not gyms. Muscles that moved like they knew the rhythm of earth and silence. When he walked, there was no arrogance, but something in the way he carried himself, calm, grounded, made it hard to look away. His jaw was sharp, his lips always closed, but his eyes, they burned, with gentleness, with depth, with something primal. He didn't need words to be beautiful. He didn't need one word to be perfect. His silence was magnetic. And when he looked at me, it felt like gravity. He was quiet, distant, always alone. At first, I thought he was simply shy, until I learned the truth. He couldn't hear. He couldn't speak. I remember the day clearly. It was one of those blistering afternoons in Mexico City, when the sun clings to your skin and everything feels heavy with light. I stood on the balcony of my room, bored of the same luxury, the same overwatered plants, and too perfect silence. And then I saw him, down below, tending to the garden like it was a living thing that whispered secrets only he could hear. His shirt clung to him with sweat, his muscles glinting under the sun like carved bronze. Each drop of sweat sliding down his neck caught the light. Not filthy, not tired, but holy. He moved with purpose, no rush, no ego, just quiet strength. I watched longer than I should have, and when he wiped his brow with the back of his hand, my throat tightened. Something inside me said, "Girl, take him water." Something braver than I'd ever been. I walked down barefoot, holding a cold glass like it was a peace offering. My heart was louder than my footsteps. He didn't notice me at first. He was pulling weeds from the base of a fig tree. But when I said, "It's hot today, you must be thirsty," he looked up. His eyes, brown and unreadable. Not startled, not shy, just still. He took the glass gently. His hands were warm, rough but careful. I waited for him to say something, but instead, he raised his fingers and signed slowly, deliberately. I don't hear. I don't speak. I froze. A flush climbed up my face. I had never felt more clumsy in my life. I nodded quickly, eyes flickering down, embarrassed. I didn't know, I whispered, mostly to myself. But then he smiled. Not wide, not cocky, just enough to melt every part of me that had turned cold from surprise. I turned and walked away, heartbeat skipping with every step. But as I climbed the stairs back to my room, I could feel his gaze on my back. Not invasive, but lingering, curious. Like I'd spoken a language he hadn't heard in a long, long, long time. That night, I stayed up watching videos on sign language. Not just Mexican sign language. I wanted to speak to him. To tell him that I feel something. Not as the help, but as something more. It took weeks, but one day, I walked out to the garden and signed, "Hi, I'm Maya." He froze. Then slowly, he smiled. And just like that, the silence between us became a language. We met in the shadows of our world, under trees, behind marble walls. He'd bring me wildflowers. I'd sneak him pastries from our dinners. We'd laugh, wordlessly. He taught me how to feel music through vibrations. I taught him how to read my lips when the lights were low. He showed me how silence could be sacred on skin. I taught him how a touch could whisper louder than sound. I loved him. But love in my world was a negotiation. When my father found out, he didn't yell. He just said, "You're going to break off whatever this is, or I'll break him." I didn't believe him until I saw the look in his eyes. That look, the kind only a man from the East can give, strong, silent, and unforgettable. The cold calm of a man who always got his way. I knew what he was capable of. So I ran. I bought a ticket to Lebanon, left without a note, without a goodbye. I loved Armando too much to let him die because of me. But that day in the train station, the horror happened. They said it was an accident, that he didn't see it coming. But I knew. He didn't hear it coming. I saw him fall. I screamed. I screamed so loud the station shook. And then everything shattered. My mind, my heart, my world. They took me away to a place with white walls and soft voices. I stopped speaking because the only person who ever truly heard me was gone. His name was Armando. He never said a single word, but he gave me more love than anyone with 1,000 voices ever could.
They say silence is empty, but my silence was full of dreams, of her smile, of every word I never said. She spoke with her hands, and I answered with my heart. She was everything I didn't dare imagine. And when she left, I didn't run after her for answers. I ran after her because she was my only sound. My name is Armando, and this is my silent love story. They think silence is empty. They're wrong. It's loud. When you've never heard a voice, never listened to laughter, never been told, "I love you," aloud. But Maya changed everything. She came into my world like sunlight through a keyhole, rich, out of reach, but curious. When she first signed her name to me, I thought it was a joke, a game, but it wasn't. She learned my world, for me, She learned my voice when I had none. I didn't have words, but she gave me meaning. Every glance, every touch, every stolen second. I loved her more than breath itself. I still remember the day when I met her. I didn't hear her coming. Of course I didn't. I never hear anything. But I felt her. Long before I saw her face, there was a shift in the air, like the light changed direction or the silence grew warmer. The sun was cruel that day. It pressed on my back like a heavy hand, and sweat dripped from my forehead, down my chest, tracing the familiar paths of labor. I had learned to work with my head down. The world above rarely spoke to me. Why should I look? But something made me look up, and there she was. White linen dress, bare feet, a glass of water in her hand. Hair like the early evening, soft, dark, untamed. Eyes unsure but kind. She said something. Her lips moved slowly, beautifully, but I couldn't understand. Still, I watched, because her mouth smiled even before her lips did, because she looked at me like I was visible. I raised my hand, signed what I always had to. I don't hear, I don't speak. Her eyes widened just a little. Surprise. Embarrassment. But not fear, not pity. And then she smiled. The kind of smile you feel in your stomach. Soft, human, whole. She handed me the glass. Our fingers brushed. For a second, I forgot I couldn't hear, because my skin had started listening. She turned to go. Her steps were quick, but her shoulders hesitated, just for a moment. I watched her until she disappeared, and long after she did, I stood there, still holding the glass, my heart thudding like a drum I'd never learned to play. I didn't know her name, but I knew the beginning of something had just whispered itself into my silence. But one day, she vanished. Gone. No message, no sign, just a cold morning, and her scent on the scarf she once gave me. I asked everyone. No one answered. But I knew where she went. Lebanon. She once showed me a postcard and said, "If we ever run, let's run here." So I followed. No plan, no language, only love. I reached the train station. I saw her. She was there, so close, eyes wide with shock. I tried to run to her, but I never heard the train. I never heard it. The pain was brief, the light softer than I imagined, and then silence again.